Fable, a game some people are very much opposed to for one reason or another. I'll be real. I think what I've seen so far, I'm eating it up. I love Richard. Can't pronounce his last name, from IT Crowd. IT Crowd, phenomenal show. Phenomenal show. So good. And he's in this game as the giant in that first big trailer that they did. There's some tidbits that are like a little awkward or weird. It's still not really clear how this is structured, what the game is going to actually play like. It's going to play like a classical Fable game. Is it going to play more like an adventure game in its pure form? Like, what is this? You know, what is it? It's still up in the air. Not super clear. Graphically, though, it seems to be top notch. And the studio behind it seems to also be going fully balls to the walls with hiring, with expanding their team. They are going like crazy, really trying to go above and beyond. This, of course, is being made by Playground Games, and it's using the Forza Tech engine. And if you don't know what that is, it's because Playground Games, if we get games developed, they make all the Forza games. Their last one was in 2021. And since then, they have shifted significantly. They've hired a ton of people. They've reworked their entire studio. They reportedly have 3 different studios on all different facets of Fable, and it's scheduled to hit PC and consoles in 2025, pointing towards fall or winter. Okay, so next year in the fall. This is going to be one of Xbox's big things. But what is this new information? Well, it comes from a podcast featuring the one and only Jez Corden. And if you don't know Jez Corden, Jez, here we go, is executive editor at Windows Central. Actually has like contacts, generally knows what he's talking about, not the type to just totally pull stuff out of the air, okay? And apparently, Jez has seen the game. Let's see what they say.
I very recently saw some alpha gameplay footage from Fable. I have no idea when it was from. I don't know if it was earlier in development. I don't know if it was recent. I don't know if it's something they're going to show off soon, but oh, it looked fucking fantastic, man. It looked fucking fantastic. Okay, so you can tell that this game has CD Projekt Red DNA.
Yeah, he might mention it here in a second, but they've hired, in that hiring spree, a lot of people from CDPR. Like, a lot. One of the head, if not the head combat designer for The Witcher 3 and for Cyberpunk 2077 was scooped up and is working on this now and has been for years. So they've hired a lot of CDPR people, which usually you can tell based on who a company is hiring what they're going for. It's why I've been following all these like hirings at companies like Avalanche working on the next Hogwarts Legacy game, because like usually you can tell if they are hiring a lot of live service people. That tells you something. Or for Marathon, they hired a game director that previously ran Valorant. So that tells you what direction they want to go with it in terms of heroes versus other things. So you can tell a lot about a studio's intentions with their upcoming project based on who they hire, and they've hired a lot of CDPR people, which to me, as a fan of CDPR games, that is very good news. I love that. I love to hear it. So that for me, thumbs up. But we'll let them keep going.
So the developers, Playground Games, they picked up a bunch of developers for CD Projekt Red, and I believe they picked up the combat designer. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of tell, you know. I'm not saying it's 100% one-to-one with Witcher, because it's not, right? But you can kind of tell that melee combat, the sort of the pirouettes and the dodging and the dodge rolling and the seamless, like, you know, hack and slash into an execution, which looks really, really cool. All that stuff is there. Like, it looks super polished. It looks super good. And if this was early gameplay, then like it probably looks even better now than from what I was shown. You know, and beyond that, you know, there was also there was a lot of mixing, like again, like a bit like Geralt, and again, it's not one-to-one with Geralt, so don't think that. But there was also like mixing in of different weapon types. So there was like pulling out a bow and arrow, and also like dropping spells. I saw a spell that was like lifting up a group of dudes off the ground and slamming them, like almost like
I think
telekinesis
there was a spell like that briefly in the last trailer. He's like lifted something up and then she slammed it down. Yeah.
Oh right, okay. Well, I also saw some enemies. I saw like a giant chicken, for example.
Of course, gotta have chicken in Fable.
Yeah, giant chicken. So like I kind of thought like cockatrice kind of thing, but it actually it looked like a chicken. That sort of comedic angle, but also not. Like it looked like a dangerous fucking scary chicken, dude. So it and also I saw a werewolf. There was a scene where they lure a werewolf with bacon and eggs and and sausages in a saucepan. I was going to say chips, but they basically cook a werewolf a full English breakfast to lure it out of its lair. Is kind of the impression that I got there.
Which is pretty freaking funny. That it's like, oh, we have to lure a werewolf out. Let's cook an English breakfast and leave it outside the cave. It's pretty funny.
But yeah, it looked really great, man. The combat looked really tight. I saw a variety of weapons. I saw a big mallet thing, which was, was being used to swing around, hit multiple enemies at once. It looked super good, super tight, and my hype level.
Same character or?
The big question is it the same female character you've seen in the trailers? Listen to this, okay?
Did you notice like it was maybe create a character?
It was the same character that everyone's seen.
Yeah.
But I have heard that you will at least. I heard this. I was told this at an event. I think I was told this at Summer Game Fest. That you will be able to select a character, maybe, like a male or female. So we haven't seen the male model yet. So maybe if they did do a direct, they'd be like, okay, and here's the male actor, But yeah, it was the same character that people have seen already. But
so I'm not sure who he would have spoken to at Summer Game Fest, because I was there, but I don't remember seeing anybody from Playground. Maybe I must have missed them. But if he heard at an industry event that you will be able to select a male character, I mean, that pretty well locks it in. Now, I think, in my humble opinion, they should just get ahead of all of this. Like, there's been so many complaints about the female playable character, and whether those people were ever going to buy the game to begin with, I don't know. Like, if you're not going to play this game because you find the female playable character like a little fugly, like, honestly, it's kind of a stupid reason not to play a game, frankly. Like, go play Stellar Blade, it'll be fine. Whatever. I just think that's a bad reason not to play a game. If the game is bad, don't play it because of that. But if you're playing it because you don't find the protagonist attractive enough, like, that I think is a little silly. Like, there's not that many games out there, I think, to have your standard be that precise. Frankly, it's like, am I? No, I was gonna bring up other games. I was like, what's a game with funny looking characters? And I was like, Bully 2. And I was like, or Bully 2. Bully. Freudian slip. That's what I want there to be. But then I was like, see, so if you're not going to play Bully because the little kid is not attractive, I was like, okay, nope, that's not what I meant. So, shifting gears. But you get what I mean. Like, to not play a game because you don't like the playable character's presentation, I just don't care enough. For me, that's far from a deal breaker. Do I like it? No, not necessarily. But, like, is that enough for me to not play a game? No, that's far from a deal breaker for me. But even this, like, if they do have a male playable character, why wouldn't, like, just show it, guys? Like, do a trailer with that playable character. Make it clear. Yeah, you can pick which one. I don't think there's going to be a full, like, character creator. I've not heard anybody suggest that, but I have heard now from Jez 2 that there's going to be an option for a male character. And I'm like, why wouldn't they just say that? Like, just come out and say it. Do a trailer with the male character. Do it that way. But whether or not they do it, who knows? But what we see in this footage is kind of similar to what's been suggested a few times, which is that there's these transitions between cinematics and gameplay that are super, super smooth and almost indistinguishable, which is why so many people think that this is just pure, like purely pre-rendered cinematics that we're seeing here. But you notice there's no watermark clarifying that. They just show it, and it seems to be running very, very beautifully. In-game footage, not in-engine, in-game. In-engine is always the little thing that they say to get out of any like possible liability problems, because they're like, ooh, it's in-engine, it's Unreal Engine 5, but everything is being rendered at, you know, one frame takes 15 minutes to render. This is saying in-game, like this is what it looks like in-game. And you see tidbits of like what seems to be actual exploration. Does it end up looking quite like this at the final release? Who knows? But my understanding is that this is believable, like this is what they're shooting for. But to talk us back down to earth, yeah, Forza always looked great. AJ, you're right, it's a very powerful graphically very powerful engine. But historically, whenever you have a studio using an engine for like a big open world adventure RPG, whatever style game, just a big style game, especially narrative games, and it's being used for that, but historically it's been used for something totally different, it's often really hard to rework it such that it functions properly. Classic examples would be something like Mass Effect Andromeda, where Mass Effect Andromeda was being built with Frostbite, an engine used for first-person shooters, and then they shifted it and tried to use it for this big, expansive RPG with massive levels, and everything just broke. All of a sudden, trying to do like lip sync and characters, like it just did not work at all. And that's an extreme example, but that's why I bring it up, because that's the extreme side of this. When you try to use an engine that was not built for narrative games or open world games, and you try to use that engine for them, it can be difficult. Now, it's possible that they've done all the groundwork and they figured it out ahead of time, and that it's not going to be a problem here. That's certainly possible. And the reason I would say that's possible is because the team over at Playground Games and the team behind their engine, they are very, very capable, and they're the reason why the engine was so powerful to begin with. Forza Tech, as you can see here. Sumo, they're back. Sumo's all over the place. They work on so many things. But Turn 10, you can see that they do all of this stuff. But the engine specifically is something that they've spent years and years reworking and messing with. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that they've done the groundwork to get it there and to get it where it needs to be. Because at the very least, if this is in game, which is what they're saying, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Then this transition into cutscene from this, like for me, it's the like haze in the background. The depth of field is also wildly impressive. The softness of lighting on the Toad. Like I would love to know if this is PC or if this is running on an Xbox. I'm guessing PC, but still, I mean, either way, wildly impressive graphically. Graphics do not a great game make, but they damn sure help make the game more palatable. So this is one that I'm going to be paying close attention to. This one could be sort of a sleeper if people are going to be dismissive. And maybe that's part of the strategy. Maybe they're like, hey, let people like stir over the female protagonist, and then we're going to introduce the male one in the summer and just for 6 months flood people with trailers and stuff that look insane. The other piece is if the production quality is this high, my fear would be that it's going to be like 6 hours long. That would be too bad. But here you see, I mean, these are little tidbits of those finishers that Jez was just talking about, where it transitions into finishers seamlessly from the combat as you're doing it. Pretty silky. So we will see. We will see. We'll keep an eye. any publicity is good publicity. Well, I think a lot of people are aware of Fable, but the other piece with this, of course, is writing. Like that, unfortunately, in 2024 and 2025, when this comes out, writing seems to be the common thread where a lot of games are struggling. And hearing them do some irreverent stuff like, hey, we need to pull out the werewolf from this cave, how do we do that? And so they make like a traditional English breakfast with like sausage and toast and beans and stuff. Like that's funny. Okay, that's funny. I hope the rest of the game is also irreverent and silly and funny, because nothing is more frustrating and depressing than a game that had a ton of potential that fails miserably because they tried too hard to be like preaching some message, or they tried too hard to be, I guess, modern or relatable. And it's like, just write an interesting story, for the love of God. Like, come on. And I understand how it's very possible maybe for you this style of comedy with Richard is not your style. That's totally fine. I eat this up though. Like, I love this.
He was breaking new ground with fruit, with veg on the agricultural side of things.
Just look at them.
Not wafting around mythical creatures. And that's what they are. Wafters.
Yeah, well done.
You see, I'm not here to slay legendary beasts. I'm here to conquer the vegetable. Not a euphemism. Let's face it.
Like, I love that. I eat it up. I love that. Again, go watch IT Crowd. It's great. So anyway, I this is one of those where I'm like, I just don't really see what people are complaining about when they look at it, other than like the female protagonist. I'm like, yeah, I think the technical term, or the PC term is traditionally beautiful. I think that's the term. But is that a deal breaker for me? No. Like, it's frankly not. But anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. We're going to find out more, I think, over the course of like next summer. I think we're going to find out a lot. And we will see what else they've got. But if what Jez is reporting is that the alpha build that he saw looked amazing, was very, very polished, had Witcher DNA, CDPR team members that are there are doing the good Lord's work. If that's true, I'm here for it. I'm here for it, because you're telling me that there's a high production value Fable game with a lot of Witcher DNA and CDPR DNA in it. Sign me up. Like, I'm in for that. Yeah. Still, you should not pre-order. But this is also the other piece of this. This is a Game Pass title, so you doubly shouldn't be pre-ordering. Damn it. Like, even if this looks phenomenal, all the trailers are great, previews are glowing, even if the reviews are 10 out of 10s across the board, it's on Game Pass. Don't pre-order it. Just wait till it's on Game Pass and download it there. Like, in the modern day, especially with freaking Game Pass offerings, like anybody pre-ordering, I have such little and low sympathy when you buy something that ends up being a flop. Like, I lose sympathy at that point. I'm like, no, you did this to yourself. Like, come on.